Welcome to the Skrmetta Show. Thank you for joining me here on a Valentine's Day evening. We are filming, recording, however you want to put it, on Valentine's Day, and we have a stacked show. Topics are phenomenal. The topics include Kim Kardashian's Valentine's Day surprise, which I cannot wait to talk about. Matt Kuchar, a golfer, and him being cheap towards his caddy, not tipping appropriately. To Catch a Predator's Chris Hansen arrested. You'll find out why. And a new social media trend or high school teenage trend that is somehow even worse than Tide Pods. And if we have time at the end, we'll talk about the Joe Flacco trade and the Antonio Brown trade rumors. But, I'm not going to push any of those stories away for Joe Flacco. All right, let's get right into it. This is shocking. Valentine's Day today, a lot of people getting presents, getting treats, getting gifts, getting candy, getting, dinners. Whatever you got your significant other, whatever you think you did for Valentine's Day, get it out. You're done. You're done. Kanye West. It sounds insane because it is insane. And it looks even more insane, and we will watch the video. Kanye West got Kim Kardashian a surprise in the form of Kenny G playing his clarinet saxophone thing. I'm not even sure what he was playing. Let's play the video. So he's playing, Kenny G's doing his thing. Looks like a clarinet. In the middle of their living room with roses everywhere. He's surrounded by roses. He's trapped. It's like a Saw game. He's trapped in these roses. There is so much to talk about with this video. So much to talk about. First thing we got to talk about, what is this room? She calls it a living room, but there's no furniture or anything. It's just a big ass room. This is like the definition of the room that you're not supposed to go in. Like the room that every household has where you're not allowed to go inside of. But those rooms usually have like pictures of old relatives or furniture or something. This is just a blank room. Next, Kenny G. You sold this is selling out to a whole nother level. They're selling out. They're doing ads for like Burger King, McDonald's, whatever. Kenny G trying to make $1. This is Kenny G selling out at an outrageous rate. This is more selling out than I think any human could possibly have ever imagined. This is selling out to the nth degree. Kanye, let's try and just think about how this went. Kanye called Kenny G, said, "Hey Kenny, you mind showing up in my living room and playing for Kim?" Kenny said, "Sure, man." Kenny puts on a suit, drives over there like a delivery hibachi guy, sets up shop in the living room. Then Kanye says, "All right, chill for 1 second, and we're going to place 250 roses around you. Don't move, because they're all in glass vases, and if you knock one over, we're screwed. So don't move, Kenny. Don't move at all." And Kenny's like, "All right, dude, this sounds good. When's you going to be here?" In about 5 hours. So Kenny G sells himself out. Basically Uber Eats for saxophone for love, and sits in Kanye's. He is the furniture. He is simultaneously the furniture, the middle of the edible arrangement. Like the wedding cake, the groom and bride piece at the very top. That was Kenny G today. That's what he did today when he lays down to go to sleep. I don't know how he's going to sleep. His whole career should be flashing before his eyes and thinking, how did everything I do, or everything I did, how did it end up with me standing in Kanye West's empty living room for 4.5 hours to play a couple minutes of songs for Kim Kardashian? Where did this go wrong? This is not how I saw this going. This is my favorite story maybe ever. Maybe ever. It's so ridiculous. It's so insane. I mean, you know what it's like when you're trying to get the perfect gift for your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever, and you're trying to figure out what kind of clothes they like. Do they want a massage? What kind of do they want dinner? Should I cook dinner? Should we go out to eat? Where's the nicest restaurant around me? You know, and then the people who are going above and beyond. Should I get her jewelry? You know, should we go on vacation, a cruise? Then there's even a next level. Maybe I get her like a Louis Vuitton bag, or maybe I just get some really expensive stuff that she can't get, some Gucci, some Armani. I don't know. And then there's another level of people like, you know what? I'm gonna get her a car. That's what I'm gonna get her a car. You know what? We're in this together. Me and her, we're locked in. We're locked and loaded. I'm gonna get her 4 wheels, a sports car. Gonna be looking good. You know what? Yes, it's a lot. Yes, it's tough, but I'm gonna sign on the dotted line for you, babe. And then there's people above that, and those people are named Kanye West. And Kanye says, all right, I got it. I'm going to hire Kenny G to be my own personal like Valentine's Day card that when you open it, it sings or plays a song or something. That's what Kenny G was. And then he had the gall. This is the best part. Is Kanye West, a.k.a. Jigsaw, putting Kenny G in a real-life game of mousetrap with 250 roses in these vases. Who put the roses in the vases? Did you do that too, Kenny G? Are you also running a florist shop? And if Kenny G didn't, then you know some people got hired just to do that. And those people, imagine those people. Those people are getting paid like $10 an hour, maybe. They're get a call. Kanye West. Oh man, we're gonna go to Kanye West's house. We're gonna put up his floral stuff. It's gonna be super dope. They get there, and Kenny G is standing there like a lawn ornament, and they're placing 1 rose, 1 vase. This had to take hours. You know how long it is to put candles on a cake? Have you ever tried to put candles on a cake and light all the candles? That takes a while. And that's not even close to this. That's not even on the same level as this. This is the greatest thing Kanye West has ever done. It isn't even close. This is like there was Heartless, which was awesome. This is so much better than any of that. Kudos to Kanye West. Kim Kardashian, you are the luckiest lady in the world. Ray J wouldn't have done this. Ray J would have stopped at the flowers. Ray J wouldn't have even thought to call Kenny G. Nobody would. No, who thinks to call Kenny G? Kudos to Kenny G for doing this. Kudos to Kanye West. Kim Kardashian, luckiest lady in the damn world. I couldn't believe when I saw it. Honestly, one of my favorite Valentine's Day stories of all time. Amazing stuff. Whew, amazing stuff, man. All right, let's switch over to Matt Kuchar. So Matt Kuchar, this story's got twists and turns. Matt Kuchar is a golfer. And Matt Kuchar was, I believe, playing in a golf tournament in Mexico. The Mayakoba Classic in November. I don't know where it was from. I guess I could look it up, but do we need to know that part? I don't know. Doesn't matter. So this is making it sound like it was in Mexico. So anyways, his caddy was sick, or his caddy couldn't be there. His caddy was nowhere around. So Kuchar has to get like a local. Like this story says, Matt Kuchar used a local Mexican caddy, David El Tucan Ortiz. And so he caddied for him. So dope, you know, just probably a caddy, a local caddy at the course, knows the course, plays it, maybe even works there, whatever. So Kuchar's like, hey dude, you be my caddy. Okay, dope. So Kuchar ends up winning it. He wins it, and the first place paycheck was $1.3 million. Kuchar in his career has won more than, in the past 4 years, or in more than 4 years, has brought in $45 million, okay? So, usually, from what I'm reading in golf, the caddy can expect anywhere between 8 to 10% of a purse, like a normal caddy. So caddies, can make a pretty good living, a really good living, if their counterpart does really well. Okay. Well, this wasn't Kuchar's main guy. This wasn't Kuchar's dog. So if it would have been 10%, $130,000. Okay. But it's not his main dude. It's just for 1 week. He hung out with him for one week. So Kuchar cuts him a check. And it's been all over social media. Kuchar gives him a $5,000 check for the week. 0.4% tip from his winnings. And so then if it wasn't even worse, Kuchar doubles down. Whenever social media comes out of nowhere, and social media is like, Matt, this is crazy cheap. 0.4%, dude. You won 1.3 million. You've got over 40 million. Throw this guy a bone. He was your caddy for a whole week. Y'all won together. Come on, dog. So you would think what I would do is just cut him a check, right? Just say, you know what, you're right. I gave him 5,000. I'll cut him another check for 10,000. Make it 15,000. Whatever. He doubles down. He says, I kind of think someone got in his ear. It was very clear and very upfront on Tuesday of the tournament week, and he said, okay, for a guy who makes $200 a day, $5,000 a week is a really big week, he said. He actually said that. Then he says that he hasn't lost any sleep over it, and he feels like he did the right thing. This is just poor in every single level. So let's go to the first level of how poor it is. So let's just start with tipping. I worked valet for 5 summers. And I'm offering a free service. I'm just going to get your car or whatever. I expect a tip. I expect some kind of tip. Me and you, our transaction is about 30 seconds to a minute. You hand me your ticket. I take your ticket. I run out to your car. I bring your car back, open the door, tell you have a good day. You say thanks, hand me the cash. That's it. Our interaction is very limited. I'm just doing you a favor. And you tip me. You certainly should. If you ever valet, tip. You have to tip. There's no question. Do you tip the Sonic drive-through people? I tip them if they're on roller skates. Do you tip someone when you order food and go pick it up yourself? I don't tip. Why? Because I'm going to go pick up the food. All you did was cook it. I don't tip the cooks. If I'm eating at a restaurant, do you tip the cooks? Not a normal restaurant. You tip the waiter. You tip the waiting staff for taking your plates, your filthy plates. I'm doing all that. I'm going to get the food, bring it back. I don't tip them. Pizza delivery people tip every single time. They are cooking your food, putting it in their car, driving to your house, giving it to you on your doorstep. Pizza delivery, Uber Eats, whoever. Tip. I'm trying to think some more situations. Yeah, so there you go. So there's the tips. Valet always tips. Your dealers at table games. If you're winning, if you're playing blackjack and you're on a run, you're winning for 30 minutes in a row, throw a couple dollars to the dealer. For sure. A caddy who was with you for a whole week and you won a tournament with a $1.3 million check? Yes, major tip. Me and a friend go to New Orleans Saints games, and there's a split the pot that goes on, and we each buy tickets. We buy a lot of tickets, and the split the pot gets up to about, on the good games, $110,000. So you're taking, if you split it, you're taking home like $60K. And I've always thought, like, what if one of us won it? And we always say, if one of us won it, first thing we would do, we'd go, we'd get on a plane and just go party it up for a week or whatever. But I would also give cash, we wouldn't split it, but it would be like, hey man, I just won 70 grand for being part of this journey. Here's $5,000. Here's, whatever, something like that, like $5,000. $5,000 stupid solid in that situation, So it's total random. We bought tickets separately, won this big prize. Awesome. Here's $5,000, dude. Like that's just expected. If you won the Powerball, people say it all the time. If I won the Powerball, if I won the lottery, I would give my friends $1 million each. If I won $100 billion, I'd give my friends $1 million each. Tell them to quit their job. I'd give them this. I'd give them that. And you should. You should, 100%. You should. If you win a lottery, give it up to your friends a little bit. You don't have to give a lot. Just give a little bit. This, though, this is outrageous. I think the appropriate number would probably be like $50K, maybe less. Somewhere between $25 and $50K. Somewhere in there. Because he was with him for a whole week. Or weekend, however long the tournament lasts. And they won, $1.3 million check. You cut $50K out of it. That's nothing. That's nothing, man. And the caddy, who, in Kuchar's own words, making $200 a day, $50K, that's life-changing, man. That's life-changing. And that's the thing that blows my mind with this kind of stuff, is that he was in a position to do a really good thing, It's a really good story. He had this local caddy who never expected to be caddying for Matt Kuchar, never expected to be in this situation. They win. He was pumped. He's rooting for you, Kuchar, and every shot you took, he was supporting you. He was begging for those putts to go in. He was moving the blades of grass. He was doing everything he could to make you comfortable, make you at home. He's pumping you up, man, pep talking you. And you get him a $5,000 tip from your $1.3 million. It's cheap, number one. It's crazy cheap. It's just like the worst kind of cheap. The worst kind of elite cheap. And I never understand why people who come into that much money, it's not like he inherited it. He won it over the course of a weekend, a large sum of money. And this guy, I don't know this guy's background, El Toucan, but $50K, who knows what that could do? I know where I'm sitting, if I got $10K, that would make things a whole hell of a lot easier. Think about that. Think about if somebody just gave you $10,000, how much easier things would be. Even if you spent it super responsibly, paid off your car, paid off some of your house, paid off some student loans, cleared your debt, paid off your credit cards, put a little in savings, invested. It would just give you such a head start. And that's nothing crazy. That's not $50K, $100K, $1 million. That's just $10K. If you gave me $10K tomorrow and I could allocate it however I wanted to, it wouldn't be life-changing, but it would change my life. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be I wouldn't be wearing different clothes. I wouldn't be driving a different car, but I'd have a little more cushion. I'd feel okay. When I went to the liquor store and I went a little level up. I said, hold on a second, Smirnoff. I'm gonna go one more up. Hold on a second, Jack Daniels. Let me slide on up here. Or maybe you just take a right and you go straight to the scotch. You go back to the wine. You put up the Franzia, you start grabbing some $30 bottles of wine. You're living like a damn king, kinda. Kuchar, man, such a bad look. Absolute. It's such a bad look. But I would say, final verdict, 25 to 50K, somewhere in there. Everybody wins. Everybody's happy. That's about right. Next story. Chris Hansen. You know Chris Hansen. You don't want to see Chris Hansen. You know Chris Hansen. Everyone's had their time where they binge watched To Catch a Predator. Chris Hansen, fun fact, that show was canceled in 2008. I feel like if you would have asked me, I would have told you it was still going on. I had no idea it was canceled because I see it's always on TV. So, if you would have told me, hey man, they're still showing that, yeah, no doubt about it. 2008. It's been off the air for over 10 years. But anyway, so in the summer, hold on. Okay, he was arrested this week after he wrote bad checks to a vendor he owed money to. Now that sentence right there, it's like, you know what? Things happen, right? Things happen. Maybe he just a little whoopsie poopsie grabbed an old check. Who knows? Chris Hansen's probably doing all right. Here we go. In the summer of 2015, Hansen bought about $13,000 worth of promotional items, like hats, shirts, and mugs from a local company, and paid for them with a check that bounced. Okay, so now it's getting to where it's like, oh, that's Chris Hansen's trying to sell Chris Hansen merch. Oh, what are you doing, dude? Then, in movies, you always see those people when they're totally hit rock bottom, when they're at like a wrestling convention or they're like a movie convention or something, and they're at a booth by themselves, no one's around their booth, and they have pictures of them in their old life when they were super famous or super popular or super cool, and they're trying to sell that merch for like $5 a piece. Then the camera pans out, and you see that no one's anywhere near them. Then the camera follows them home, and they're eating boiled eggs for dinner, and their key doesn't work in their front door. They got to jiggle the key. They have a screen door that doesn't have a screen. They just walk right through it. You know what movies I'm talking about. That's what I'm picturing with Chris Hansen. So Hansen turns himself in, whatever. Now this is where it gets even worse. In 2015, Hansen launched a Kickstarter to fund a new show, Hansen vs. Predator. Like Alien vs. Predator, Freddy vs. Jason, Hansen vs. Predator. So I'm not sure if he means the actual Predator or just a bunch of pedophiles getting a line. Hansen's in a ring, like a gladiator. One comes in, Hansen puts him down. Another one comes in. It's basically just blood sport with Hansen and either the real Predator or pedophiles. Not sure. This article does not specify. So I'm leaning the real Predator, but So let me read that again. In 2015, Hansen launched a Kickstarter to fund a new show, Hansen vs. Predator. Mugs and T-shirts are listed as incentives for donating. Whew. So, this is just a nasty story. So Hansen, imagine this. Hansen's starting a Kickstarter and tells people, hey, if you want to see Hansen v. Predator, if you want to see me take on the guy who killed Carl Weathers and Jesse Ventura, the guy that Arnie had to cake himself in mud to defeat, if you want to see me take on that freak, then donate to my Kickstarter, and in return, I will give you mugs and hats and T-shirts of my likeness. What he doesn't tell you is he can't pay for any of that stuff, so he's writing bad checks. That is just like the worst circle of asking for Kickstarter, can't pay for donation, can't pay for incentives, stealing money to get money. Super bad. Super bad. No Jonah Hill though. Brutal look for Chris Hansen. And that's a guy who has seen some bad looks, and you wonder if it's karma. You wonder if it's not that he was doing anything wrong, but snitches get stitches. Bottom line. Next story. So the newest trend for teenagers is here. The Tide Pod Challenge is dead and gone, thank God. And kids have moved on. Kids have moved on to the 48 Hours Challenge. 48 Hours Challenge has pretty simple rules. So it encourages the teens to just GTFO. Just get out. Just go. Leave. Disappear for 48 hours. So you just have to leave. No social media, no phone. You can't tell anybody where you are. And the whole point or the whole goal is to show up on the news and show up on social media. Like, be in an Amber Alert or be on a newscast saying missing 15-year-old teen from Louisiana. And however many times that happens, that's kind of like you winning. It's your point system is, I was on this news station. I was on this Facebook. I was on this Twitter. Look, here's my picture here. Here's my picture here. And people obviously are, like, this is a bad idea. Don't do this. But you don't come here for the same old cookie cutter, right? You may expect me to be like, this is dumb. I blasted the Tide Pod Challenge. We have a video on this channel talking about the Tide Pod Challenge and how dumb not only the Tide Pod Challenge is, but how dumb the videos on the Tide Pod Challenge were. It was a great video. So this, though, I think we may be figuring something out here. I think it may be good for these kids. Think about it. What do these kids do 24/7? What have they done their entire existence? They've existed in a social media only world. They've existed in a phone from since they were 5, 6, 7 years old. I got my first phone when I was 15 years old, and it wasn't a smartphone. I got my first iPhone when I was 23, maybe 22, something like that. I used to have an iPod. I had an iPod Touch before I had an iPhone. All right. When I was 13, 12, when I was young, I would come home from school. I'd flip on some Dragon Ball Z. After Dragon Ball Z, I'd go outside, jump on the trampoline, swing on the tire swing, whatever. Do whatever. If I was inside, play with some action figures, maybe play some video games, eat dinner, do homework, go to sleep. Now these kids are all, you know how it is. YouTube and Twitch and their phones, and they're not going outside. They're not going outside. They're not testing. They're not out there in nature, in the bed. And I'm not even talking about just going to like climbing a tree or something. But they're not even breathing outside air. They're not interacting with humans. If they're gone for 48 hours, they're learning. They're basically on Survivor for 48 hours. I don't know where the hell these kids are going. I don't know what their plan is. But they have to eat. They have to do something for 48 hours. I mean, unless they have their phone charger with them and they're just like walking around the city like a homeless person and plugging in, plugging out at random stores. I mean, I don't know where these kids go. You know? I don't know if they're going to a friend's house. I don't know if they're going to... What do you do for 48 hours? If I told you to disappear for 48 hours, what would you do? I know what I would do. I would just go to like a different city, right? But I'm 30 years old. I can do that. If I'm 14, I can't do that. I can't just get in my car, drive 2 hours away, get in a hotel, and chill for 48 hours, bring my laptop, bring my phone, bring my Xbox, bring my TV. I'm living. I'm cool. I can't do that if I'm 14 years old. I can't pay for that. There's no way to do that. Where do you even go? You can't just go sit in the woods for 48 hours. No one could, this isn't Castaway. So I want to know where these kids actually are going and what they're doing. But I don't think this is necessarily the worst thing for these kids. Let them have a little fear, a little responsibility, a little, damn, it's real out here in these streets. Let them have a little bit of that, I am hungry. Let them have a little, man, it was pretty nice with, having mom do my laundry and a nice dinner and taking a shower, and maybe, it gives them a little bit of that scared straight. Gives them a little bit of that, now, this is all, obviously the dangers and the risks involved with this are really, really high. So I'm certainly not saying that the kids should do this, but of all the challenges out there, of all the stupid things that kids have done, this one is one that may actually have some positive benefits when these kids get back. Is it outrageously reckless? Is it incredibly stupid? Is it so dumb it makes me want to puke all over my chest? Yes, no doubt about it. But it's better than eating Tide Pods. What do you learn from eating Tide Pods? Besides that you can't eat Tide Pods. This, you at least learn a little bit of that, what it feels like to be out there, what it feels like in the world, not just in your bedroom watching YouTube videos. So, don't do this, kids, but if you do it, take a look around, realize that you got it pretty easy wherever you are. We have a little bit of time left, so we'll go into this Antonio Brown, Joe Flacco stuff. So the NFL season doesn't actually start until a month from now, like the actual league calendar. So nothing can happen. You can't make trades. You can agree to trades, but you can't actually make a trade. So in about a month, teams will start making trades and whatnot. But Joe Flacco has been agreed to be traded. So in a month, Joe Flacco will be traded from the Baltimore Ravens to the Denver Broncos. And, people are kind of trying to figure out who won the trade and figuring out Flacco's career. And I've been thinking about it today, and where I live, Flacco doesn't affect me really at all. So you're not hearing a lot about it, but I think it's a good trade for Denver. I think Flacco's better than Case Keenum. I think he's a really good transitional quarterback. He's a good guy to have while you try and find your quarterback. If you have Joe Flacco at quarterback and you take someone like Kyler Murray or whoever the Broncos want to take in the next year or two, then you can feel pretty comfortable with them sitting and learning and taking it slow and taking it easy and developing. And Joe is that quarterback now. Joe is that transitional quarterback who can, he's done his job. He's had his career. And now he can fill in Denver at a decent level, a middle tier level, nothing crazy. a middle tier level, and they can kind of figure out what they want. They don't have to rush into something. They don't have to draft a quarterback and then slam them in there. They don't have to force a guy to play too early, a la Josh Rosen. They can just take it at their own pace. Flacco's great for that. Flacco also, I think, at his best, at his prime moments, can be pretty good. He's not great by any means. He has been great before. He's not great now. He's also been hurt for a few years. So maybe having some time off is good for Flacco. And maybe he'll be able to put together a decent couple years in Denver and then move on. I think for the Ravens, obviously it doesn't change anything too much. Lamar Jackson is their quarterback. Lamar Jackson led them on a pretty decent run, obviously, to the division title, and they played well with Lamar. Way better than I thought they would play. I was the first one to say that Lamar is not going to work. I was the first one to say that the NFL is going to figure out Lamar Jackson really, really fast. I was the first one to say that it's just not going to happen. And he played pretty well. So the Ravens are all in on Lamar. That's fine. Doesn't change too much for them. As far as Flacco's career, he is a really interesting case where he played on a good Ravens team, and he did enough to reach the promised land, win the Super Bowl. It's hard to say that, though, and I feel almost like I'm not doing him justice saying that, because he did do more than just get them there, right? He was incredible in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. I don't think he threw an interception in the playoffs. I think he had something. I think he broke Montana's record, or tied Montana's record with most touchdown passes with no interceptions in the playoffs. It was something like eight touchdowns, no interceptions. He won 2 road games. Those 2 road games being New England and Denver. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning back-to-back weeks to get to the Super Bowl. Really, I mean, he defied all odds, and he had to play really, really well. You don't just beat Tom Brady on the road and then turn around and beat Peyton Manning on the road. You don't just do that and just be a game manager or get your team there. It took some real heroic acts from Joe to get Baltimore there. And I think with quarterbacks, I think that if you win a Super Bowl, then I think you're pretty much okay. You're pretty much good with that fan base, and that you can hang your hat. You can say, yeah, I didn't put up Tom Brady numbers. I didn't put up Peyton Manning numbers, but I won a Super Bowl in Baltimore. And I think you're okay putting your career on that, obviously. You have people like Mark Sanchez who got to 2 back-to-back AFC Championship games, and people in New York hate him. If he wins back-to-back Super Bowls, I guarantee you Mark Sanchez would be looked at a whole lot different. I mean, that's an obvious statement, but I think Flacco, he gets a lot of flack, but I think his career may be a little bit better, maybe a little bit shinier than people give him credit for. And I did not think I would be complimenting Joe Flacco when this happened. Antonio Brown came out with a tweet and said that after 9 years, it's time for basically a new adventure. It's time for him to get out of Pittsburgh. And he's obviously not traded. We said that you can't trade people right now, but this seems like a pretty obvious. This is Anthony Davis levels of, hey man, I don't want to be here. Hey, trade me. And Antonio Brown is probably the best quarterback in the league, our best wide receiver in the league, excuse me. And he's been in Pittsburgh his entire career. Le'Veon Bell wants out, Antonio Brown wants out, and so now people are trying to figure out where Antonio Brown's going to go. Vegas has the Steelers as the favorite, then teams like Arizona, Miami, the Niners, teams like that are in the running to get Antonio Brown. And I think Antonio is in an interesting spot because I think Antonio Brown loves him some Antonio Brown. I think he loves, he was on The Masked Singer, he was on Dancing with the Stars. He loves Antonio Brown. He loves the camera, he loves being on TV, he loves being in movies or whatever and commercials. So I would be shocked if he went somewhere that wasn't a major media market. And the place that makes the most sense to me is San Francisco. He gets Jimmy G, gets a high-profile quarterback, could be a good team, could be a good fit. It's obviously going to be number one wherever he goes. He's also in California. He's in Frisco. He can do movies. He can do TV. He can do commercials. He can build his brand. It's kind of a LeBron to the Lakers deal, kind of. If he goes to Miami, yeah, he's in Miami, but it's not the same pomp and circumstance. If he goes to Arizona, I mean, it's a short flight away, I guess, from California. But if you're going to pick a destination, why go there? If you're playing for just football, which I don't think he is, then it makes a lot of sense to look at a place like Kansas City. Try and get that going. Play with Patrick Mahomes. Play with that Kansas City offense. Let Andy Reid do the damn thing. Next thing you know, you could be in the Super Bowl. But he's just been in Pittsburgh. Is he really going to go from Pittsburgh to Kansas City? I think Antonio Brown has motos past football. I think a lot of players are doing that now. It's obvious in basketball, but I think in the NFL, especially wide receivers, I think they look around and say, well, I need to be in New York or LA or California. I need to be in these major media markets that does TV, and I can do TV, I can do commercials, I can do movies, I can try and create a career after my career. You see that a lot now. You see that a lot now with really anyone. You know, The Rock really made it big, but you see these people transitioning from being in the spotlight to trying to take it to that next level. And not everyone can do it. I'm not saying Antonio Brown's going to be a movie star. I'm not saying he's even going to try and be a movie star. But I think that's in their heads with people like Odell Beckham and Antonio Brown and whoever else that, hey, I want to be meeting the models. I want to be hanging out with models and hanging out with actors. And I want to be on late-night TV shows. And so I think that's what Antonio Brown's going to do. I don't think he's going to make a football decision as much as he's going to make an Antonio Brown decision. Locally, a lot of people are saying that he should go to the Saints. Not really buying that, mostly because Drew Brees just can't give him the ball. Drew Brees is just kind of past that. I was discussing it with a friend. I was saying that the Saints trading for Antonio Brown, it would be better for them to trade for someone like Zach Ertz. If they traded for someone like Zach Ertz, I feel like Ertz could help the Saints way more than Antonio Brown could. And that sounds kind of crazy, but Drew Brees just needs someone up the seam. He needs someone from about 25, 30 yards in. We saw it all at the end of last year. He just doesn't know what to do with someone. He knows what to do with him. He just can't do it anymore. He can't get the ball 40 yards down the field. He can't get the ball 60 yards on a Hail Mary. He can't get Antonio Brown the touches that Antonio Brown wants, is used to, or needs. Someone like Jimmy Garoppolo can. Someone like Patrick Mahomes can. Someone like Jared Goff could. I mean, I don't think the Rams could have that many playmakers, but yeah, I don't think they have that much money. But he needs to go somewhere like that. And I don't think the Saints is that answer. The Saints desperately need a tight end. The Saints desperately need someone of that level or plays in that of the level of the field that first 20 yards up the seam, takes on linebackers, just a pass catcher. Ertz would be perfect. Ertz would be the dream guy for the Saints for sure. But that's what I think. That's what I think will happen to Antonio Brown. I think he'll go to Cali. I would not be shocked at all to see him as a 49er next year. That would be, if I had to guess, it would be 49ers would be the first place I would think he would go. I've also heard Houston. Houston could work. I could see Houston. That'd be a good fit. Watson could utilize him. Houston's a big enough city. It's got James Harden. You know, I think he could probably trick himself into doing that. That could work. Guys, thank you for listening. A Valentine's Day edition of the Skrmetta Show. Thank you very much for listening. House cleaning stuff. We are still just on YouTube. I was looking at some podcasts, some like iTunes options, and it all comes with, you know, a website or a domain or a Spotify plan or something. And so right now we're just going to continue the YouTube thing. We are putting clips onto another channel, but I think we may be putting some clips on this channel as well. We may be kind of doing both. So be on the lookout for, or it's already up, and the link is in the description. But if you want to check out just the clips, go on over there. I think we're going to double dip for right now until the other channel kind of picks up. Then we're going to double dip and post clips maybe on both, or if we post 4 clips on the other one, we'll post one of them on this channel, something like that. So, but be on the lookout for other projects. And we are going to start really doing some stuff in the podcast sector as far as the studio, as far as graphics. And that'll all happen really, really soon. Again, I have a special project coming up for the Oscars. The Oscars awards next weekend. I have a kind of a long project I've been working on and very excited for it. So be on the lookout for that. That will be on this channel and all across my social medias, which are also in the description. So follow all of those. Hope you have a fantastic Valentine's. I will talk to you later, guys. This has been the James Skrmetta Show.